Uriah Hall versus Anderson Silva takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC Fight Night Vegas 12, Hall versus Silva, and I can't wait for this matchup. You've got Uriah Hall, the A side here, the number 10 ranked middleweight in the world, on a 2-fight win streak right now, looking to make it 3. He's beaten some good guys as well in his last 2 wins, in Antonio Carlos Jr., who's a ranked guy in the middleweight division. Bavon Lewis as well, who was a bit of a contender at the time, was actually looking really good against Uriah Hall before Uriah Hall landed that one big shot that he seems to do in a lot of his fights to get the job done in the 3rd round after having a tricky first 2 rounds. Uriah Hall's been looking great recently, though. He's looking really switched on recently. Even in his loss to Paulo Costa, he looks really switched on in that fight, looks really game, ready to go with Paulo Costa, but Paulo Costa just walked him down, eventually got the better of him after landing too many body shots against the cage, and Uriah Hall started to shell up. I don't see Anderson Silva doing that to him. However, he is taking on Anderson Silva here, who is a legend of the middleweight division, one of the greatest middleweights of all time. No, actually, in fact, the greatest middleweight of all time. Even though he's completely tarnished his legacy 100%, you can't deny that in his prime, he was the greatest middleweight of all time. But still, Anderson Silva, on his world tour of just disgracing his career, in my opinion, I don't know why he's still doing this in the UFC. In my opinion, Anderson Silva could have moved to Bellator years ago and made way more money and fought way lesser competition. I would love to see an Anderson Silva versus Lyoto Machida matchup, but still, Anderson Silva is hell-bent on ruining and tarnishing his entire legacy that he worked so hard to create by embarrassing himself fight after fight, by doing absolutely nothing to win, showing up for show money. I don't know why he does it. He just doesn't want to win fights, it seems like, and I know some people are going to tell me, you don't know that, but trust me, when I see Anderson Silva clearly able to win a fight and he backs up to the cage and starts doing this fucking origami shit, imaginary origami, I don't understand why. I really don't understand why. I don't understand why Anderson Silva does the things that he does. I'm calling him Anderson Bronze from now on because he's a significant downgrade from whatever he used to be. I mean, as soon as he started losing, I mean, he lost to Chris Weidman once, got KO'd. It seems like that was a little bit of an aura of invincibility gone. Maybe he never trusted himself the same way to take punches on the chin, but I say that, and a lot of people use that argument to say why Anderson Silva has changed so much. Because he got KO'd by Chris Weidman, he doesn't trust his chin anymore. But I literally watched him put his hands down and accept 5 punches at a time from Adesanya and just ignore it completely. So I don't think it's a problem with trust in his chin. I just think he's completely done, in my opinion. He's a very old guy, a very, very old guy. I don't like this matchup for him against Uriah Hall because Uriah Hall has been looking pretty good as well recently. But then again, Uriah Hall is not a young guy himself at the age of 36. But Anderson Silva is at a completely different age. 45 years of age is just not... It's just not the age you need to be to compete in MMA right now, but I'm definitely going to be going with Uriah Hall. He's looked decent recently. He seems to be making another run at things, and I know that he knows if he gets a big win against Anderson Silva in the main event of a fight night, he'll probably be getting jumped up those rankings against a potential guy by the name of Derek Brunson rematch. There's a lot of guys who might not want to take on Derek Brunson right now. I don't see the winner of Jack Hermansson versus Darren Till looking backwards at Derek Brunson, and I feel like Uriah Hall, if he gets on that microphone and calls out Derek Brunson for a rematch. I mean, listen, Derek Brunson officially lost to Anderson Silva, so if Uriah Hall beats Anderson Silva, it looks a little bit good, but still, Derek Brunson did not lose to Anderson Silva. Okay, I don't know why that just came out of my mouth because it was a very clear loss for Anderson Silva, which now puts him, in my opinion, on a what fight losing streak? 1, 2, 3. Oh no, he beat Nick Diaz, but that got overturned, so never mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight losing streak after going on a massive run and a tear throughout the entire middleweight division in the UFC, destroying absolutely everyone other than Chael Sonnen that one time as well. He also had some tough fights with other guys, but still, Anderson Bronze. He ain't the guy anymore, in my opinion, and his last fight against Jared Cannonier showed me that he wasn't the guy anymore. He's been out for a while, all the way back in 2019 in May. That's how long he's been out for. Uriah Hall, a little bit more active as well, came back in 2019 September. That's not active at all either. He's still over a year off, but way more active than Anderson Silva. 4 months more active than Anderson Silva, but Anderson Silva Watching that fight with Jared Cannonier was like, okay, you really don't care anymore. Like, he took a couple of inside leg kicks and it was over. Now, fair play, he could have had a knee injury. And I actually believe now that he had a knee injury. And Jared Cannonier injured his knee with those kicks. But I want to say this. Watching Jared Cannonier chew up the legs of Robert Whittaker so many times in those first 2 rounds. Don't get me wrong, Whittaker won the fight 30-27 against Cannonier at UFC 254. But Jared Cannonier chopped at those legs so many times. And it showed me the difference between Robert Whittaker, who a lot of people say has had too many wars in his career and he's starting to fade away. When Jared Cannonier landed that many leg kicks, I saw in Whittaker a guy who was still able to take it, okay? He took so many leg kicks because he's a young guy. He's still in his prime. He's still looking good. He's not starting to fade away yet. He can take those shots. Then I saw how many Cannonier took before Anderson Silva completely lost his leg pretty much in the first round. And I know they say it was an injury, but I don't even think it should be considered an injury. Fair play if you want to say it's an injury when someone checks someone's kick and they break their leg. Maybe then you could say it was an injury, but Jared Cannonier literally kicked the leg of Anderson Silva. He went down, said basically no more with his body language, and Jared Cannonier wins. I don't think you can even say knee injury. I don't even think you can classify that as an injury-based finish. Like, otherwise we'd be saying stuff like, oh, Marlon Vera, injury-based finish because he kicked Sean O'Malley's leg and O'Malley's leg did something. That's nothing to do with Marlon Vera. He aims to kick the leg. That was the outcome that he wanted, I'm sure. I don't think any of these guys, when they're trying to kick people's legs, are thinking, well, I hope his leg doesn't break. I'm sure they think every single time they throw a leg kick, I'm going to chop this leg in half. And Anderson Silva not being able to take them against Jared Cannonier. Don't get me wrong, Jared's got some dangerous leg kicks. But Anderson Silva, Israel Adesanya, sorry, I mix up their names so many times. Israel Adesanya used a lot of leg kicks as well, used them very well against Anderson Silva, was chopping at that leg. Anderson Silva went limp on that leg a couple times in the fight, dipped down because of those leg kicks. If Uriah Hall's camp is not screaming at him every single day to throw leg kicks, especially because this is an orthodox versus southpaw as well, that kick to the inside of the leg of Anderson Silva is going to be there all day off the rear leg. I think Uriah Hall's going to slam home leg kicks, take home the finish with a TKO due to leg kicks, maybe some punches afterwards as well, but I think Uriah Hall will get the finish, mainly because of the leg kicks that he will be throwing to the inside of Anderson Silva's legs. And plus, Anderson Silva is Anderson Bronze. He doesn't want to win fights anymore. He doesn't show up to win fights. He shows up to mess around, lose whenever he wants to, and only sometimes he looks good. Like in the second round of Israel Adesanya. He won that round against Israel Adesanya. No, I know that was a different Israel Adesanya before he had a breast attached to him and all of this KO power and stuff. Like he was landing a lot of shots on Anderson Silva and nothing seemed to happen to Anderson Silva. But you know what? All good. Israel Adesanya was landing a lot of leg kicks on him and he was taking them very well, but he was taking them badly at times as well. Like they were starting to get to him in that fight. But it seemed like there was a moment in the second round where Anderson Bronze became Anderson Silva once again and just said, you know what? I'm going to try and win a fight. And he won a round against Israel Adesanya. And here's the problem that I have with Anderson Silva. You have no idea what's going on in his brain. He could batter Uriah Hall for the first 3 minutes of this fight like nothing's the problem whatsoever. And then for the last 2 minutes of the first round, stand there and accept jabs to the face like it's funny. You're tarnishing your legacy, man. I wish he took his career as seriously as I want him to. And I know that's a very selfish thing to say, but still, I'm not putting any weight behind Anderson Silva here. I think he's coming off the knee injury, which I know he is. Long time off. Uriah Hall's going to slam that leg straight away. I just know he is. Chew up the leg of Anderson Silva, and I think we're going to see an early TKO finish from Uriah Hall. That's what I want to do in this card as well, because there's so many good favourites. I don't see any great underdogs on this card, so what I'm going to try and do is start betting specifics. I'll say under 2.5 rounds, Uriah Hall by TKO. I think that's most likely. I just think we've seen, when Whittaker takes that many leg kicks from Cannonier, that's the sign of a guy who's still got it. When Anderson Silva can't take a couple of them against Jared Cannonier, that's a sign to me that maybe the body isn't defending itself the way it's supposed to, and it's starting to give up on Anderson Silva. We saw it in the Adesanya fight as well. He's been hurt a lot in his career. He's been injured a lot in his career as well. I mean, how many First, Jared Cannonier injures him to the leg. Then, obviously, the Chris Weidman rematch was a leg injury as well. I mean, it's just tough to... I have no trust. I have no trust in Anderson Silva. And you know what the weird thing is? If Anderson Silva really showed up to win, I reckon he probably could beat Uriah Hall. That's what really annoys me about this, but I'm just not going to pick him. Ever, because he lost to Derek Brunson. He's on a 7-fight losing streak right now, and every single time he gets in there, despite being kept on by the UFC, regardless of how many times he loses in a row, he doesn't seem to get the message that you're fighting for your career. Stop ruining your legacy that you built for... I'm just going to get too angry. I don't even want to mention it anymore. Uriah Hall's going to win the fight. Out-jab Anderson Silva. Uriah Hall's the shorter guy with the longer reach. Anderson Silva's going to find it pretty hard to find his way on the inside with the boxing, which it seems like Anderson's gone more towards nowadays. He doesn't seem to throw many kicks anymore, and when he does, they seem a little bit slower, a little bit more telegraphed, a little bit more easier to see coming, but still, Anderson Silva... going a bit more boxing heavy nowadays. Uriah Hall's got a stiff jab right down the pipe every single time that we saw Adesanya use on Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva. So annoying. But still, Uriah Hall's going to win this fight. Yeah, it's going to be tough for Anderson to get on the inside with the boxing. Uriah Hall's got a reach advantage being a shorter guy. Tends to work out for a lot of fighters. He's got great stats as well. He's looked good in his last few fights, even though, in my opinion, he might have lost the fight to Antonio Carlos Jr. He beat Krzysztof Jotko. Yes, he lost to Gegard Mousasi and Derek Brunson not too long ago, but it feels like we've got one last hurrah out of Uriah Hall, and if he does win this fight, I think he should look to call out Derek Brunson for a rematch in the main event of a fight night afterwards as well, or Chris Weidman for a rematch. Weidman is basically turning down everyone right now because I'm sure he's looking for Luke Rockhold or a Jacare Souza, someone like this, but still, I think that maybe a Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman rematch should happen. That happened outside of the UFC in the first place. Weidman basically smushed him. Maybe they can make a rematch there. I have no idea. Maybe they do Uriah Hall versus Kelvin Gastelum rematch. That would be also pretty cool. Maybe they do a Uriah Hall versus... I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just one of them. It just hurts me that this is what Anderson Silva has become. He just doesn't want to win. He will start winning. Uriah Hall will do nothing back. And then Anderson Silva will back himself up against the cage. And then do this, beckon him over. Go on, punch me in the face. I'll put my hands down and lose this round for no fucking reason whatsoever. Before, when Anderson Silva used to mock people, it used to be cool. Okay, and I think this is because he's a bit older and his reaction time is starting to go down. I think he trusts himself to matrix dodge every punch someone throws at him and catch them back. But that doesn't seem to happen anymore. He just sort of accepts every punch. Fair enough, he rolls with the shots quite well. I just don't see any benefit to any of the showmanship that he does anymore. It's just a deficit to him. I'm going with Uriah Hall winning this fight by TKO under 2.5 rounds. Thank you for watching. I reckon it'll come via way of leg kick, maybe to ground and pound afterwards. But orthodox southpaw, Uriah Hall's going to be chopping at that inside leg, which is what Cannonier did so well. Thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe. Click that button up there. And goodbye. Toodle pip.